Well, good morning, and thank you for having me come to your class to speak about some of the policies and programs that M-State offers. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Higher Expectations campaign that came about from some research that was done with faculty across the college. As you're aware, we have 4 campuses, one in Moorhead, which is the campus that we're located on. We also have a campus in Fergus Falls, Wadena, and Detroit Lakes. We cover a very broad region of West Central Minnesota for programs that our students attend. 2.5 to 3 years ago, there was a survey of faculty that asked them, what is it that you want students to know? What is it that students can do to perform better in the classes that they take from you? And as many of you may have guessed, we got a wide variety of answers. If there were 80 faculty that answered the survey, we probably had close to 200 different responses because every faculty member listed something or multiple items that they would like. From that list, we took them and categorized them into different topic areas and ultimately came up with 5. We call them higher expectations because they're sort of the themes of them lumped into these 5 headings. The first one that faculty wanted us to share is that attendance is key. Some of you may have received pens that say, I am here, using the M-State M. The attendance is key aspect came from a number of faculty indicating that because it's college, because it's a college experience, they don't have an attendance policy as a part of their course requirement. I've seen the subtle shift in that many faculty are starting to give points or quizzes, many more pop quizzes, and attendance is becoming a part of the grading scale for the course, because what faculty have learned that if students don't attend the class, they, and this is probably not going to be a shocker, they don't typically do as well. And so attendance is key when you're attending college classes. There's a lot of national data that also supports that notion that students who attend the class tend to do better than students who don't. When you think about what it costs you per class hour, at one point I had the math done, and I think it was somewhere around between the $14 and $15 an hour is what it costs you to sit in a class. That's just the tuition and fee charges. So you're spending, it's obviously, you know your bill, you know if you're borrowing money to go to school, you know what your student loan statement is, you know it's expensive. Even at an institution that is a lower cost than other schools, it's still expensive. So the first expectation is that attendance is key. The second one is that you are responsible for your education and we're here to help. And that notion really applies across the board to not only the faculty who are there to help you understand the concepts and the topics that you're working on, but you have to meet them halfway. It also applies to the folks in student services. I haven't met a student in over 20 years of working in higher ed that thinks there's enough when they get their financial aid award that is running to the financial aid office to say, ooh, thank you, I got way too much money, I can give some of it back. Everybody's always looking at it going, oh, this isn't going to help. And that's an unfortunate and common situation in financial aid, but financial aid is there to just assist. It's not there to cover every aspect of a student's education. And so you'll have a variety of loan programs that students can borrow from. Some students will qualify for a variety of different grants that are out there. And we've seen a huge shift in financial aid regulations that come down from the Department of Education, both at the state and the federal level, over the years that make a lot more regulations, make the institution have to apply a lot more regulations to students. For instance, when I went to college, you took out student loans, and if you withdrew from a course, it didn't affect your student loans. If you dropped out of school, you didn't necessarily, it affected your student loans in the sense that you still have to pay them back, but you paid them back in the same time frame when you went into repayment. Now, as many of you are hopefully aware or may have experienced, if you withdraw from a class mid-semester, you may end up having to repay some of that financial aid back during that term that you're currently enrolled, because if your status goes from full-time to three-quarter time, or three-quarter time to part-time, or part-time to not eligible for financial aid, it can adjust depending on the date in the semester that the activity happens, what you're eligible for financial aid, and federal guidelines require the college to, it's called a recapture, And essentially what we do is we have to send the money back to the federal government or the agency that supplied the aid, and then you have to pay the college for the money that we sent back on your behalf because you're no longer eligible because you changed your enrollment status. So your responsible applies to a lot of areas. It's understanding what financial aid means and the implications that the implications of not fulfilling your end of the deal if you decide to withdraw from a course or drop a course. And there are a lot of reasons why a student may drop or may withdraw from a course. And so it's still an important option for students to consider that, but it's wise for them to know the full parameter of what that impact can be. It also comes to academic advising. Your educational plan is your responsibility, but we're here to help you in terms of academic advisors, helping you stay on track if you're going part-time versus full-time. If you've got a lot of other stuff going on in your life, we recognize that students are not just college students. They're sometimes single parents or they're sometimes co-parents, but they've got 3 teenagers who have soccer practice and basketball games and football practice, and so school for them sometimes is, while it's still a priority, it can't be the #1 priority because of other things going on. It's up to the student to really manage that and to talk about that with the academic advisor to make sure that they're staying on track for their graduation date and that they're able to fulfill all of the obligations. It extends to tutoring. We've got tutoring services, we've got the library, the bookstore, a variety of services available on the campus, but it's really up to the student to manage that educational plan and then to modify it with our help as you need to modify it to make sure that it fits your life. And there are, of course, some programs that aren't as easy to drop in and out of. If you get into a highly selective program such as dental assisting or dental hygiene or nursing, those programs are not as easy to step in and step out of as, say, a business program or an accounting program because of how the courses are offered, the order in which you need to take them, and the high selectivity. If you get in once, it doesn't mean that you'll get in a second time if you drop out of that. I'll use dental hygiene as an example. There are 22 students in that program. All 22 of them typically have a 4.0 or higher because of the competitiveness of that program. And so the criteria that's used for the selective admission, you may have met the threshold during the round of applications the first time, but if you need to step out for whatever reason, the program will do whatever they can to get you back in, but they can't make a guarantee that you will because the next pool of applicants may be stronger than the pool you were in. Or you may place lower because there are more applicants that are stronger than you for that pool. And it's done mainline, it's done based on a criteria that students have to meet. So it is really important to understand all of the parameters of the program that you're going into to make sure that it's going to fit your life. The third one is you get out of college what you put into it. And there are really 2 sides of that. That's the academic side. Now, obviously, if you are somebody who is photographic memory and does really, really well, you probably don't have to study as hard as somebody who struggles to get a C. So you know yourself, you know your educational abilities, you know the program that you selected. You should know the demands of the courses that you're taking the first week of the term, so you really need to understand what you're going to have to put into that in terms of what you're going to get out of it for the grades. If you know that you're a straight A student, that will probably continue at college if you continue to use the same strategies you used in high school. If you're a straight B student, again, same strategy applies. If you're a straight D student, things might not go as well for you because you're going to have to study more. College isn't the same as high school. And so while I say you have to apply the same strategies, you may, if you had to study 4 hours before for an exam, you may need to increase it depending on the demands of the instructor, depending on the demands of the course, and the topic and the content area. The other side of that is clubs and organizations. The campus, every one of our campuses has a variety of clubs and organizations that students can be a member of that are funded through the student activity fee that you all pay. You'll see that on your statement, and it's paid via the number of credits that you take. That also funds the fitness center on the Moorhead campus. So all students that attend here have the ability to use that fitness center because they pay for it through their student activity fees. I will pause. We'll pick up with